Part 1. A New Job. Natalie woke up early. She usually did, but today was special. She was starting a new job as personal assistant for fashion designer Gabriel Lequest. She had been waiting for an opportunity like that for ages, and she needed to be convincing. After giving up everything, her old job and her apartment, to move into her own room in his mansion so she would be there for him 24/7. She had been working for almost 13 years now to become as good as she was and beat everyone else who was applying for this job. The designer's wife had recently fallen into a comatose state, though their son thought that she had just disappeared. Natalie hadn't met either of them in person. Natalie hadn't met either of them in person yet. They had just spoken over the phone, and Mr. Crest's driver, who appeared to be the boy's bodyguard at the same time, had brought her here in the back of a limousine and shown her to her room. Her first task would be to wake up her boss, what meant he trusted her enough to enter his bedroom while he was completely exposed to her. What if she was a serial killer? The thought made her giggle, as if she would be able to do any harm to someone. After waking Mr. Equest and bringing him his coffee, before she had to go downstairs into the kitchen to give the stuffed orders for Gabriel's and Adrian's menu, the young woman was supposed to wake up the 13-year-old. While the boy was getting ready for his day, Natalie would bring her employer's breakfast into his office, to then serve the teenagers in the dining hall before handing him his homeschooling material for the day. She was also in charge to correct and control his daily tasks, work out his schedule for his photo shoots, as he was also modeling for his father's brand, as well as his fencing and Chinese lessons. So Natalie got out of bed and took a quick shower to then get familiar with a very big and very complicated-looking professional coffee maker. She was lucky that Mr. Crest wanted a plain espresso and nothing complicated before she could take the time to figure out all the features of this machine. She let out a relieved sigh when she had managed to fill the tiny cup and set it into the matching saucer, to bring it up to his room, and could now try to wake her new boss without getting him upset with her on her very first day. The assistant made her way out of the kitchen into the empty hallway, in which the sound of her heels echoed, making her feel as if she was just passing. Trying to not make so much noise anymore, she only walked on the tip of her toes until she reached the room the driver had shown her the day before. Natalie took a deep breath, then knocked firmly on the door, too, just as Mr. Crest had demanded, entered immediately and set the cup onto his nightstand. "Good morning, sir," she said professionally, as she saw that his eyes were already open and he was staring at her. "Good morning, Miss Sanker. For now I am glad that you can follow simple orders, without discussing whether or not you should be entering my personal chambers. I'll see you at your desk in an hour, and welcome to your new employment," he replied coldly. "Thank you, sir." Natalie replied just as emotionless, and turned on her heel after placing the espresso right next to him to leave the room. He called after her, "Miss Sanker?" The assistant stopped immediately. "Yes, sir. 2 more things. I would like you to dress more professionally. I don't want my 13-year-old son to get distracted by his hormonal overload when he sees you in that dress. So if you don't mind, could you try to wear pants and something with a collar? I'm not trying to reduce or insult you. He's just as emotional and thoughtless as his mother sometimes," he said without looking at her. "Oh, no problem, sir. I'll go to my room quickly and change into something more appropriate. I'm sorry for upsetting you," Natalie said calmly, then asked, "What was the second thing?" "I'm not upset with you, Miss Sanker. I was just placing a request. The second issue would be that you would have to accompany me to the charity event tonight. And, well, now I am demanding the opposite. I need you to look as beautiful and hot as possible, so I can keep Miss Bourgeois off my derrière," he said with a sheepish grin. "You're talking about the mayor's wife, the fashion queen and editor of the style magazine, Audrey Bourgeois. Well, I'm not sure if I can come up with anything to compete with her, but I'll do my very best, sir," she replied formally. "Well, you don't have to come up with anything. I will have someone bring you a selection of my personal favorites to pick from. I suppose you can do a proper makeup for a rock concert?" he questioned. "A rock concert. I don't even know what kind of makeup would be proper for that, but I will figure it out until tonight. At what time do you need me to be ready?" the assistant asked reluctantly. 9 o'clock straight. The concert starts at 10, and will take about half an hour to get there. I don't want to give Audrey even a minute more than I have to bother me. And Natalie?" "Sir?" think it can very well compete with Audrey Bourgeois, he said with a light smirk. Well, thank you, sir. Is there anything else? She stammered with fluttering cheeks. That's all for now. I'll see you in the office. Of course, sir, Nathalie uttered quickly and rushed out of the room, closing the doors behind her and leaning with her back against it for a short moment. She wouldn't have thought, after all that was told about him, that he could be that charming. The young woman shook her head to get rid of thoughts like that and hurried back to her room to change her attire.